You have already seen what convolutional neural networks are. So we'll be replicating them upon immense dataset and try to achieve an accuracy of at least 99% here. So convolutional neural networks, its main application is in image recognition, and CNNs are the best neural networks you can apply on image problems. So here we'll be passing images to train upon the CNN. So what's the difference between CNNs and other neural network is that it is like they're the regularized versions of MLPs, which are multi-layer perceptrons or neural networks. So MLPs by definition are fully connected neural networks, wherein each neuron in a layer is connected to all of the neurons in the next layer, like how we had seen the previous implementations of the neural network. So they are also CNNs are known to have different pooling layers like max pool, average pool, which handles the data and act as filters. And also you have flatten layers in the if you want to flatten the layer from three-dimensional to let's say two-dimensional or even one-dimensional. And so many interesting features lie within a CNN. Here we'll be seeing a basic
Okay.
version of CNN in the immense implementation. So dense you had known previous. So Keras is actually really easy, and from now onward, majority of our neural nets will be in Keras because they are quite easy to implement also. So dense layer is nothing but a fully connected layer, and Latin and Conv 2D and Max Pool 2D are all filter layers. Max pooling is nothing but a pooling layer which applies pooling operation over the images that are being passed through the neural network. And this is an atom
Mm.
optimizer which is used to optimize the model in the model.compile phase. And here we'll be using image data generator from Keras.preprocessing. So what image data generator is, it basically in neural networks, the problem is you require more data to train it upon. So in the cases when you do not have enough data or enough images, the neural network tends to overfit upon the data it is trained upon and not perform well upon the validation data. Hence, we will use image data generator to generate multiple copies of the same image. Like we'll get a mirror image of the same or the input image, or twist it or turn it 60 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree to get various transformations of a given image, so that we can have a good amount of data to train your data upon, train your model upon. So just import Keras and all the modules you have, define the training files and the testing files. So that if you recollect the imaged problem which we had covered previously using TensorFlow, in that if you can recollect, we had built numbers and 0 to 9. So that is imaged. So same thing. We had stored NumPy arrays in the form of in files, load the files, and train the data upon the NumPy arrays. So I'm not able to find it. Yeah, here it is. So we had previously run it up using TensorFlow. Loading TensorFlow backend and Keras always takes a good amount of time, which is why people prefer to use it on GPUs. Okay, we are done with this. So one thing you got to notice is that each data point is 784 values, and means 784 pixels, which is nothing but 28 by 28, which is this. So when you're passing it to CNN, it is treated as a 28 by 28 square. One reason is because, as we had discussed previously, all the images should be of the same dimension if you're working with neural networks. So here we are images are already standardized to a 28 by 28 format, and we are
Mm.
passing all the same sized images to the CNN. So if in case you have a data problem in which you have to build a model, let's say with images, like an image classification task, first thing you're going to make sure
Mm.
that all the images are of the same dimension. So that's one important point to be kept in mind. So how you do it is you can do image name.reshape. This is how you transform an image. A lot of time to run. So let's discuss. I will just want to discuss a few things. So while the other one is loading, we have generated the data. So first thing is, so basically the images are of one dimensional each because they're in a CSV file. So
Mm.
the CSV file is defined as X train and X test. I'll just show raw data. So this is the single dimensional NumPy array representing the image of the shape 1, 784. So this one, let us first visualize this as a single line graph, and then let us move on to reshaping it to the dimension 28 by 28. The first one, X train of 0, the first image in X train, and this is 784 by 1 data. So as you go from the index 0 to index 800, 784, which is here, and here are the values of the image in the NumPy array, the flattened values. So this is how a 0 looks like in one dimension if we have a close look. But reshaping this given 0 to the shape 28 by 28, that means we are converting a one-dimensional NumPy array image into a two-dimensional one. We are getting a perfect 0. So this is the first thing you do once you get a problem wherein you have single-dimensional image like this. You set it into a proper appropriate shape first. Exactly. So whatever we had discussed is here. So since in image problems, you have to reshape images as we had previously discussed. And this one is a grayscale image. But if you have RGB image, which is red, green, and blue, it is a image with 3 channels. But here we are playing with image data. So I will try to get a problem where we have RGB images also from the next sessions with neural nets. I think they will play pretty good with deep nets, with deeper neural networks. So in that case, you can find it pretty interesting. So just reshape the entire data set. This one is the dimension of the image. And since it is a grayscale image, single channel. So let us reshape the entire data set of X-ray. So it is done. And now all the images are in two-dimensional format. And now we'll just standardize all these images to 255 pixels. We'll just standardize the pixel count in each image. So it is 255. And now let's get into the labeling. So here, if you recollect one hot encoding, so for example, you have a number is as between 0 to 9. So these are the labels. And you want to encode, let's say 1, right? This is how 1 will look. So 0, 1, these are all separated by commas, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is value for 1. And value for 9 would be 0, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is how one hot encoding would look like upon your numeric data. So in neural networks, it's pretty important to encode their target variables. Hence, we are converting all these ones to categorical form. The two categorical is actually available as a module. I'll just show you. So in Keras utils, you have the two categorical function, which converts your given integers to one hot encoding format. So we are applying that here. Though we have other methods of encoding which we had explored in our ML. So same thing. So here for y train of 0, which happens to be a 0, this is the given encoding for that number. So like this, we have converted all the number integers into one hot encodings. If you can see here, we have applied the function two categorical upon the training and validation data. Now let's move on to training the model. Here we will be using a typical sequential model, but what in addition we are using to make it a CNN, that is a neural network that stands out among the rest, is that we'll be using convolutional layers. So convolutional layers are nothing but layers with multiple filters that use weights to transform each pixel into a weight average of itself and its 8 neighbors. So let's make it look like this. This is your input image. And let's say it goes into the convolutional layer. So let's call this a layer. And next one is, so the filters dot product with this section of the image is a number. And like this, over each and every portion of the image, the filter is applied. Like this it goes, and down like this, and down like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, till we have another transformation of the image, which will be fed into the next layer of the neural network. So how it happens is it is a dot product between two matrices. One is the image matrix, right? And the other one is a matrix within the filter. In this case, it is 32 by 32 image, and it's a 5 by 5 filter. So that's what happens. If you can see this, right? Here we have transformed the 32 by 32 image into a 28 by 28 filtered image. This is what a filter does. So for example, here we have specified a filter size of 3 by 3 and the input image shape is 28 by 28. And batch normalization is nothing but the typical normalization which you saw in ML, in which you get just normalize the data. And again, we added a convolutional layer which applies filters upon the input images from the previous one. This means it transformed. Again, we normalize the input images and then we go to max pooling. So max pooling is a pretty important feature in convolutional neural networks. I'll just see if it is here. So what max pooling does is it splits the entire input array from a main into n number of slices. Okay, here we have 4 slices. In each one of the 4 slices, since the name of the pooling process is max pooling, what it does is it takes the maximum element of the group which is being analyzed at a time. So let's take this group in pink color, 6. Hence the next transformation after max pooling is 6. And similarly in this one and this one. So this is what max pooling does. So it gets the maximum 6, 8, 3 and 4. So we are applying that right here and then dropout. So what dropout is, it tries to reduce overfitting on the data. Applies dropout to the had learning rate, which defines how the neural network learns. Similarly, you have dropout, which is applied to ensure that the model does not overfit upon the training data. So this is a pretty useful feature in neural networks in which you can apply model to ensure overfitting doesn't happen. If you notice your data is being overfit in any neural network problem because you might have not applied or dropout or the data was too less, in that case you can either lower the number of layers or apply dropout. So similarly, we will be adding one more set of layers here since it's a deep neural network, the CNN, which we are building right now. And then we will apply a flatten layer. So flatten layer is nothing but flattens the three-dimensional sensor, which is being passed subsequently. It returns a flattened version. So this is how it will look like. So imagine this is your image tensor which is being passed. Because here it is a three-dimensional matrix with it. And then let's apply the flatten layer. On applying the flatten layer, this is how the image will look like. So I'm deliberately extending its size because this is actually how the image looks like once flattened. Yeah, let's make it this much. This is the input image, this three-dimensional matrix. Flatten, it gets transformed into a single line image. I mean single dimensional image, as you can see here. So this is what flatten does. So basically we have an image. Let's say this one. On applying flatten, this is how it will eventually look like. And since it's actually three-dimensional, but you cannot see the third one because it's a color dimension, the third one. It's because it's a grayscale image. But in the three-dimensional, let's say RGB image, we can see the colors will defined quite well. So that is what the flatten layer does. So here we have the flatten layer, followed by dense layer. And then we have a dropout to make sure the model doesn't overfit upon the data. And we have the softmax and ReLU activation functions being applied at every layer. So let us just define this neural network. Awesome, it's done. And then followed by we will run the image data generator. So we had previously explored what an image data generator is in this notebook, as to that it applies transformations on a given image to generate multiple images, right? So here zoom range means it zooms into the image in and out to generate multiple copies of the image. We have defined a value for that. We're shifting the height by a particular value. It means increasing the y value and shuffling the image according to its height, playing with its width, and rotating the image by a particular value. So we'll just run this. And yeah, the next one is after you have defined your neural network by all its layers, next thing what you have to do is you have to compile your model. So that's the next big step. So here, since it's a classification problem, we will be using the loss function categorical cross entropy, and we have an our atom optimizer with a learning rate of 1 into e power minus 4, and the metrics by which the model training goes ahead is its accuracy. So let's define the model dot compile method, compile the model, and finally let us put an annealer. So annealer is basically when the model tends to saturate. Basically, the learning rate, I mean, the loss doesn't fall or the accuracy doesn't increase. We will apply this. In this, we will change the learning rate by a particular value so that the model doesn't saturate at a particular loss or accuracy value, and the training goes ahead smoothly. We will do annealer and we will fit upon the model with all these steps. So we define the training data, number of steps per epoch, number of epochs, and then verbose was been showing the data, what is happening in the background. Validation data is defined, and callbacks. Callback is nothing but the simple steps that you update that have to be updated on the model. So it take a lot of time to run. So I will just show you my previous running instance. So we
Okay.
achieved an accuracy of 99.5% upon this project. The testing accuracy is the accuracy of the model upon the testing data. So you test a model with testing data, I mean training data, right? And if you want to see the training accuracy, after you have built a model with training data, we will again test the model with the same training data. That is the training accuracy. And once you train a model with training data and test it with validation or testing data, that accuracy is the validation accuracy. And the same thing applies for loss. And this is the evaluation part, where we take the validation data which we have separated from before, xval and yval. So this is the data the model has never seen before, and we have calculated the loss and accuracy in its prediction. So it's noticed that even in validating with data the model has never seen, is performing quite well. But it has an accuracy of 99.48%. Really good. So this is the beauty of neural networks over other conventional ML algorithms. So these are the plots of the variation of loss and accuracy over the training period. The next one is the confusion matrix. So as evident from the confusion matrix, for an ideal confusion matrix, the diagonal elements should be as high as possible, and all the elements apart from the diagonal should be close to zero. Our CNN model has given an impressive confusion matrix also this time. And here is a summary of what all we have done.